Check, check. Thank you all for coming to Podcast House. Any and everybody here. I hope y'all are vibing. I know it's hot outside.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody who's sitting outside with us. Thank you to everybody who's gonna watch this online.
Yeah.
And
I got to shout out the barbershop. You know what I'm saying?
shout out to the barber shop.
Shout out Abel. What's good?
Yeah. So we are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're at Austin for South by Southwest, the inaugural soft launch of Podcast House. Yeah, you're right.
I told you.
He told me not to have a beer, but I gotta have a beer. It's South by. So this is the soft launch. Y'all are gonna be seeing this for years to come and be like, I remember when. So thank you guys. So let's just get it started.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the How to Build Your Own Dreams podcast. I'm Aaron Knight, co-founder of Build Your Own Dreams.
Yeah, I'm Brandon Boone. I'm co-founder of Build Your Own Dreams, and we live at South by Austin, Texas. Shout out Daydreamer, and we here with 24/7 artists. What's good? How y'all doing?
We're great.
Good.
There we go.
There we
Okay. Yeah. What's going on?
How y'all doing?
We're doing great.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Y'all been moving, man. We appreciate y'all joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So, what's up?
Nothing much. Just checking, making sure y'all can hear me.
Yeah, we good. I'm gonna jump right in. Tell us all about 24/7, kind of the mission, why y'all got started, and then we just go from there. We just gonna have a conversation. Oh, well, my bad. Let me rewind. Hold on. Y'all got to introduce ourselves first, and then we get to it.
Yeah, introduce yourself, but then tell us what 24/7 is. I'd say this iteration of Podcast House is focused on indie artists because we partnered with For the Students. So indie artists, but also the business types behind indie artists. So, we did Dende for the first episode. Now we have the business heads behind, and then we're going to do kind of a hybrid later. So if you could kind of, from that perspective, share who y'all are, what y'all do, and why people need to know about what y'all are doing.
Who's that? Y'all want to do the intro? All right. So I'm KC, or Kevin Cruz. I'm one of the co-founders for 24/7 Artists. I'm also the creative director of the company. And what 24/7 Artists is we simplify the business of music through education, tech, and community. So we have two sides, tech and community. On the tech side, we have a tech platform called Creator Space, where artists can join. They'll have access to different tools and a dashboard. They can upload their catalog music and do split sheets with other artists. And then on the community side, we do dope events like South by Southwest and something else called 24/7 Sessions, where we rent out a studio for a weekend and we invite artists from our community just to come make music, and then we push that project out. So in a nutshell, that's what 24/7 Artists is.
And is it subscription based?
It's free to join, but we also have a subscription base to get more, premium access to different things, like access to premium courses or premium events and things like that. So, yeah.
Dope. Hey, who we got next?
What's up? My name is V. I'm one of the co-founders and the co-CEOs of 24/7 Artists. Udo and I started probably like 14 years ago. We had a recording studio in Washington, D.C. called House Studios. And we sold, thank God, right before the pandemic happened. God was with us on that one, okay? And then we started 24/7 Artists. Casey was like, yo, I want to come with you. And we were like, yeah, come on, Casey, let's do this thing. Let's change the world. So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what's up?
Hi.
And I'm Udo Gray. I am the co-CEO, co-founder of 24/7 Artists. Started out as a producer engineer. I learned the business of music. And once I figured out how it worked, I said, I got to tell as many of my friends about it as possible. And I've been on that mission for about 16 years now. So
I know. So the purpose of our podcast is really to highlight the true journey of entrepreneurs, not just in the music business, but we really highlight Black and Brown entrepreneurs. Abel from the barbershop is one of our previous episodes. He just got like a really cool barbershop concept here in Austin. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But Abel in the barbershop. But our first ever episode of this podcast was at the top of 2022. Was it 22 or
Yeah.
23?
I think it was 22.
Okay. Or I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
We've been podcasting that long?
Yeah, because we being consistent.
Wow.
We aren't going to talk about that.
So our first ever podcast, we had planned, so we were in LA. Brandon and I'm from Atlanta. Brandon's from Shreveport, but he lived here and I lived in Atlanta. I just moved to Nashville. So we only podcast when we're together. So we would batch episodes. Now we're together every week, so it's not as hard. But we were in LA together and I was like, oh, we're going to be in LA. We've been talking about podcasting. Let's just rent a studio and podcast. So we thought we were about to have one of the greatest wins of our career. Like we had spent a lot of money to go out to LA. So I'm like, man, let's just podcast right after our event and have a conversation. We'll be teaching people about how we're winning. Boy, we took the biggest
The
L
biggest.
At that point. We've taken way bigger L's since then. So at that point, we took the biggest L we had, and I was crushed. But we literally scheduled the studio for an hour after our event. So I was in process live on the podcast. Like, damn. You know, and I'm an empath. I can't avoid my emotion. I have to move through it. And I feel like that empowers me to make the best decisions. But that's what this podcast is. It's us talking through and moving through our emotions. I'm the more emotional person. Brandon is pragmatically breaking it down and then comforting me. So I'm telling y'all this because we don't want you to tell us like, oh, well, these are the successful and yada, yada, yada. Like we want you to get into what it really takes, you know? I've been so frustrated in my life I started my first business when I was 8. And I have had a ton of like fun, incredible, really dope things that I've experienced in this world. But the thing that I've experienced the most in business is heartache and frustration. And so I would love for y'all to kind of tell how you got to the point of wanting to start 24/7, because I'm assuming it came out of frustration, you know, or some sort of angst. And then 2, you know, I know y'all have had a rough last year. And last year was the roughest year for Brandon and I. We've counted on it, talked about it a lot in the podcast. We lost $250,000 last year, and our faith in a lot of humanity. And, you know, it was just a rough year. So you posted about that, and I sent it to Brandon, and he was like, we're not the only ones. So I know I just gave you the longest intro to a question.
Let me add one thing, too. The L's don't stop, because while we were recording, our car got broken into.
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
Somebody broke them. They ain't taking anything. They just broke the window. I think it was like somebody on drugs or something. So, like, the L's don't stop. But, yeah, I just want to throw that in there because it's like, yo.
I forgot.
Yes.
Dang.
So,
And that was a whole thing. And then the LAPD didn't even show up. We was just out there
crazy.
for hours.
Yeah. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about the obstacles I had to face getting 24/7 off the ground.
All right.
How you going?
That's you, Yuta.
Oh, all right. Where do I start? How many L's do y'all want?
You good?
Right. Everybody get a L.
Not so. You know, I'll keep it short because there's a long list of L's, and that'll go in the book and the life movie. But like you said, you have this great idea. We started from a place of like, honestly, if somebody was doing this, I wouldn't start a business. Like, I'd rather you just hire me and like I do this for you. But part of the frustration is no one quite pieces together what you see. And when you kind of hope someone else is going to do it and you find they're not doing it for the right reasons, that's a little more heartbreaking. And we saw a lot of that. We partnered with folks who we thought were in it for the right reason and found out they weren't and lost time, which is worse than losing money. We also lost a lot of money. But when we started out, right, we knew the problem, right? There are millions of independent artists, millions of managers, creative directors, creatives, podcasters, you name it, trying to navigate this world. No one's really giving you the path. No one's really giving you the clear gems. And like the solution, which is like, I'm going to go get a label deal, isn't the solution anymore. So you have all these really talented people, but no solution. And we felt like we could help show people the solution. And we had done that for years. We've helped many artists who have made it at many different levels, at different stages in their career, from Wale to Logic to Ari Lennox and Shy Glizzy and more. So again, we're not saying that we're like magicians, but we've done it enough to know like, if we find talent and we help them, it's better. So in our minds, we're like, we'll start and we'll get money in like 3 to 4 months. Like investors gonna throw money at us because we got the golden goose. Like, it's not gonna see this. And we started pitching, and in your roadmap, you're like, yo, I'm gonna cover the burn until the money hits. So we coming out of pocket, thousands of dollars a week, covering everything. And Casey here, I was like, Casey was like our creative, and we're like, all right, Casey, we'll pay you like weekly because the money's gonna come any day. And 1 week turn to 3, turn to 6, turn to 20, and you just burning cash. And then finally you get to a point like, yo, Casey, I can't pay you this week, bro. Like, I ain't got it. And the reason Casey's sitting here with us is Casey was like, yo, like, I'm with y'all. I might have to like disappear.
That's real.
And
That's
like
love.
go make some money on the side and like hustle, but like I'm here when you need.
I got you.
He's like, I got you. And that to me was like, that's character. So, a year plus passed of us like coming out of pocket, emptying our bank accounts, maxing out credit cards we didn't have.
That's real. That's real.
All in hopes of it happening.
Yeah.
But what I will say is like with them L's and with the moments of like, maybe this isn't it. Every time we thought about folding, there was a sign. There was always like something that would let you know like, now, why would God make that happen if I'm
Right.
Every time, like literally like weeks before like we folded, we'll be like, yo, like maybe we just gotta like, I'll just go get a job somewhere and like figure it out. And then like you'll get a message from an artist who's like, yo, you changed my life. Or you'll get a message from an artist who's like, yo, that thing you taught me, I did it and I just got my first 6-figure contract. It's like, yo, like we're not crazy. Like this shit works. Like,
Right, yeah.
So
And the
it's
lessons
like,
you learned too.
yo, and then so that resilience, I really do believe like anybody can make it, like not to add that to it. But I think the only difference between people who make it and don't is if you stick through it.
Yeah.
If you quit, like then you fail. But if you don't quit, that shit works out eventually. It just doesn't work out how you think it would.
Right.
That's like the guarantee.
Right.
What you think gonna happen, not gonna happen.
That's the key.
But if you stick with it, you'll look around and be like, oh shit, like it's happening.
Yeah.
I didn't think this how I'd get here, but I'm here. And like, all right.
Yeah. I saw this quote on Twitter the other day. It was it said a winner is just a loser who's tried one more time. So I was like, yo, that's it. You know what I'm saying? You just
I
gotta
like
keep
literally
trying.
just got chills when you just said that. No, I'm being serious. Because, my favorite book says the race is won by the one who finishes. It's like, it's simple math. But when you hear that, you're like, oh, yeah. Getting to the finish line is like, oh, I didn't realize I had to go through hell and back through hell. But it's like the resilience won with that. And not to say that you can't go get a job, but like Brandon and I have lived through that in the last year. It's like we're too smart to be this frustrated. So it's like, let's just go get a job.
Listen.
Y'all believe in yourself so much.
We're smart, beautiful, talented Black people. Like, I'm just going to go get a job. And it started getting so frustrating, me going to jobs or like trying to apply for jobs and nobody's hiring me. So then I go to this headhunter. There's a homegirl of mine. I'm like, yo, what gives? Like, my resume is banging. And she was like, well, you have no corporate experience. So they see an entrepreneur and they see somebody who has ideas and who's going to push back. And, she's like, they want somebody who's going to be a little bit easier to get along with. I'm like, I'm a team player. I grew up playing basketball. I'm Shaq. He's Penny. Like, what are we talking about? And she's like, it's not like that. So, like, we just got a new consulting contract, like a couple of days ago. Thank you.
Congrats on that.
And it's for one of the majors, but what solidified the contract was me being in a meeting with them and being so frustrated by their in-house marketing team not knowing the basics. So then when I go to the person who we're reporting to, I'm like, y'all don't know the basics of, and I'm kind of just, I'm fresh. I'm just mad. I'm like, what? Y'all, they got big old salaries and, and he was like, can you come in on a Monday to meet in person? And I was like, oh shit, I just secured the contract. You know what I'm saying? But I'm realizing that, and I tweeted this a couple of days ago, these corporations hire obedient people, not innovative people. And so like, we keep running into the innovators. Like, like we just met via the internet a couple of years ago. What was it, like 2 years ago? And y'all, I think so. And y'all
Time
kind of told me
flies.
what y'all were doing, and it was just like Brendan's wife is our operations manager. And this is Brendan's sister, like, what I'm saying? Like, Brendan's son is my nephew. Like, he don't know no different. I'm his family. Like, so when I got on the phone and you were like, yeah, this is my wife. And I was like, I'm with my people. You know what I'm saying? So like, and then even this story right here about like, oh, I'm with y'all. Like, y'all carry similar values to us. So my question is, you didn't turn and burn and say, oh, let me go. You stuck with the entrepreneurship. What has kept y'all grounded in that? What has kept y'all saying, like, we believe in this so much? I know you're saying like an artist messaging y'all, but we got to get to the brass tacks. We're also business owners. That don't keep us alive. What has kept y'all alive emotionally, but also how have y'all figured out how to make the business now make sense? Y'all are sponsoring a major event. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are one of our sponsors. Shout out, you know what I'm saying, to 24/7 artists. They're sponsoring the bar later today with the meet and greet. So it's like you're finally making the business make sense. Tell us on both sides, mentally, how'd you withstand? But now financially, how have you kind of figured it out?
So I'll speak to the mental part of it, because it's not easy. Um, I forced us to meditate every single day, and I started on my own. And I used to feel guilty because I wouldn't start working once I found meditation. I would not start my day off without meditating first. And he would just be looking at me like, "We got all this goddamn work to do. What are you doing meditating?" And the more I did, the calmer I became, but the quicker I moved. I moved faster. I was clearer. Because sometimes it takes me a little bit to like catch on to things, and I'll ask them all the time, yeah, but what are we? What are we doing? What is this? What's our thing? And I would ask over and over and over again to these two. And I was like, all right, I'll figure it out on my own. And I'm going to go meditate and I'm going to pray and I'm going to ask the universe. And sometimes it sounds weird and cliche, but it really does. It clears your mind. So whether it's meditating or praying or sometimes just sitting in silence with your thoughts. Yeah. As far as the financial part of it, we have I have amazing parents. Let me just shout out to mom and dad because they really did. They said, we have 3 kids. And they were like, look, whatever you guys need. And we were like, look, we don't know how we are going to make this work. But we did it before. We had a company. We grew it to an amazing valuation and we were able to sell it. But that only lasts for so long. You know what I mean? And so we did all that we could. We got to a certain point and then we're like, yo, I don't know what we're going to do. And then you start calling on friends that you have helped and you think that they're going to be right there and they're the ones that disappoint you. So then where can I go? And for us, it was my mom and dad. It was other family members. And sometimes it's not always financial, but can you watch my kids while I go do this? Can you help us, with this? Can you cook us a meal? And sometimes it's not always financially that somebody can make your life easier. Sometimes it's that village that you need. Casey's a part of that village. He said, look, if you can't pay me, just make sure we can pay, the people that I'm with. I'll figure it out. Yo, Casey is for life. Casey got us. His wife, his kids, whatever Casey goes off and does, he got us. Cause he didn't have to. He
I
could
got
have
y'all. It goes both ways. I got y'all.
but he could have went and did something completely different. He was like, yo, I'll go get a job, but y'all still got me. So it's not always financial. And then we were able, to raise a little bit of money through friends and family and stuff like that to help keep us afloat. And it was like, all right, well, we're going to do this thing. We're going to empty out everything. We're going to max out everything and we're going to do it the right way. And then we're going to go out for the real money. And thank God, like, we found some private investors that came along and was like, okay, we believe in what you're doing. But it took years.
Yeah.
It took a couple of years, and just the fact that we didn't give up, which is not always easy. And I don't know if I would tell somebody else to go this route. If you don't have the village, right? And if you don't have the people, I believe that everybody can, but I know that everybody's not built for it.
Okay. You just said You said so stuff.
And I won't talk the rest of it now.
No. We need you because so for us, this has been a journey in discovering our community. So we believe that Build Your Own Dreams is just a community building organization that iterates as whatever gives us life in that moment. So we've been a label, we've been a marketing firm, we've been a management firm. Now we exist as event curators. So Build Your Own Dreams, we're so glad it was such a broad name. It's listed legally in the state of Georgia as a record label, but it just keeps reiterating, you know? And we just got our trademark a month ago.
Year.
And we trademarked in multiple classes because we our first year we pivoted twice. Our second year we pivoted again, and then last year we pivoted. So we pivoted 4 times in 3 years. So we've discovered the value of community. We started the company with a raise from friends and family. We thought we were, oh man, this is how much I made as a manager. This is how much he made as a promoter. So we'll be able to pay this back in 2 years. What? Yeah.
We still paying that mother.
Trying to create a business that's equitable for artists is so difficult because artists don't know what it takes to, and this is no shot to artists, but they don't know what it takes to build an infrastructure that cares about them.
Yeah.
So you're sharing with them and they think that they are owed it. So then when it's asked to be reciprocal, my favorite word in the American language is reciprocity. When you ask for that, you're told you're selfish, all these things. So you said a lot about community. I'm going to ask y'all about building around independent artists next, but I just want to highlight, like, we're there. It's like, that's why I said, hey, yo, y'all cool with y'all? And then I'm like, just bring everybody because we're just trying to compound these relationships. You know what I'm saying? And so that's big. And then even, like you said, just kind of like figuring it out. And I told Brandon at the top of this year, if I would have knew God wanted us to go through this journey, I would have said no. So I had to be going blind because I would have said no. I had to because so I had to go in blind. And last year I had to really battle through frustration, heartache, and bitterness because I'm like, my magic is too magical to be bitter. I can't be magical if I'm, so what you were testifying to me, but I want to ask on brass tacks again, because you found investors that believed in y'all. Your business is outfitted to benefit independent artists who are, I won't say 0 to 60. Y'all are a little bit more about like the 60 to 100. You're like the, y'all are going after emerging artists. And for those who may not know, we're not talking about people who are like, I'm trying to make my first $5. This is more like we have services for people who are probably making anywhere from $400 or $500 a month to $1,000 to $2,000 a month, looking to go to the 6-figure, or we make 6 figures. We're trying to accelerate, right? So for one, I understand your business model because we work in this, but it's like, how are you getting people, specifically artists, your target audience, to understand your business model and then partake in it? Because we have learned that a lot of artists who need our services didn't want to spend the money, or people who have the money feel like we should be excited to be on their team. Which is cool. Like, I'm excited, but you should be excited we're here. So I want to know about how you're explaining your business model and then causing people to feel like it's a necessity to what you're doing. I think that's a big disconnect, and that's where we really win now when we've become translators. We're like, here's the value that we offer, but this is why it's beneficial to you. And then the same with the labels, like, here's the value that we offer, and this is what your artists need. How are y'all becoming translators? Because to have a business like yours is very thankless, and it's difficult to tell the target audience you actually need us. So can you guys talk into that, but talk from a branding and an ethos standpoint? I think maybe so people who are business owners can understand how they can translate it into their world.
There you go. I'll touch on it. So one of our core values for our company is simplicity. So in everything that we do, we try to make it simple. And then on on the other side of that is community. So we really engage and interact with our community. So literally, like today, we were on a call, me and Yudu, with our community, and we asked them like, "What's working for y'all? What don't y'all like? What do y'all need?" And one of our community members said, "Look, I'm gonna be real with y'all, but I don't really know what this tech platform does. I don't really read the emails. Like, if y'all could just text me with updates, I'd be good." So then that let us know, like, okay, we need to get a platform that can send text updates to our community, and then we'll get more engagement and they'll be more informed. So like that's how we're able to communicate, through our community and say like what's working, what's not, and getting that feedback. And then also trying to do our best to make everything as simple as possible as one of our core values.
I love that. If y'all could just plug the platform for somebody who doesn't quite understand what y'all offer, one, how can it benefit them if they're an independent artist? And then two, how can they get involved with what y'all are doing?
So I'll break it down into two things. There's education and there's application, right? And our platform starts with education. So when we onboard you, we ask you a series of questions that let us and let you, more importantly, know where your gaps are, right? So if you're like, oh, I want to make $100,000 a year, it's like, okay, great. How? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, give me an example of an artist who you want to be like. And then they'll say an artist and we'll say, well, how do they make money? It's like, oh, touring. It's like, okay, well, if you want to make money touring, have you ever toured before? No. All right, well, here's some educational resources on how you start touring. Here's a path. Here's some options. Here's whether you go the opening for other people route. Here's whether you go find an agent route. Here's whether you start your own thing and take your own show on the road route. And depending on which route you go, it's just systems and processes at that point. Now, the tools that we're building simplify those systems and processes. What are they? How do I hire a tour manager? How do I hire a band? What contracts do I use? How do I pay everybody and how do I track that for taxes? How do I route a tour? How do I communicate? What email templates do I use to communicate with the venue, with the promoters, right? It's the same model every time. And this is what I was saying when I learned this as a youngin', and I was like, oh, this is how the industry works? Like, then why are they going to these other people? Like, why aren't they doing that themselves? And it's like, well, no one's showing them. Like, oh, well, I can show them how to do this, but I thought it'd be a lot easier. I thought I'd just be like, oh, just do this, and you'll be good. And then part of the challenge was I tell people, and they'd be like, nah, you do that works for you. I'm not like you. It's like, no, like it will work for you too. So thank God for Casey, because Casey was like, yo, we got to simplify you. We got to hold their hands. And then one of the things Davina landed on that we really, originally we're building the platform for artists. What we've learned is it's really for the artists and their teams, right? The artists by themselves, especially the really creative artists, are never going to take on the business full time. And so if you build the platform right, you have to build it so that the manager, the artist, the assistant, the coordinator, the agent all work together, right? If you build something where everybody works together, now you've got it. And that, again, when you talk about pivoting, we started with this is a really cool, simple tool for artists that moves cool and looks sexy and all that, to now it's like, yo, how does a manager's dashboard differ from an artist? How does a producer and an engineer differ from an agent or from what you guys are, which is these entities that I think are the glue, where it's like, yo, we're going to engage BYOD. They're going to help us put something together. How do we communicate with them as an artist team? So really that's where we've landed, is our platform, Creative Space. That's why we called it that, is where artists and their teams are going to go to create all of their dreams. Like anything you want to do, you'll be like, oh, I want to release merch. It's like, yo, here's the steps to release merch. You can go to work with this distributor and this fulfillment company, or you can go cut and sew, or there's a million ways in between. And because there are people like you who've done it, I'm not going to speak to something I don't know. What I'm going to do is build a platform, and we'll build a platform to bring people who've done it. And then you'll say, oh, yo, you're trying to do it? No, don't cut and sew. You're not there yet. Yo, go to Printful and do the Printful route for your first 100. Once you sell 100, now you can do this. That's what we're building. So it really is again, education and application.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope. Man, we got so much in common, so much to talk about. We definitely gonna have to do a part 2.
For sure. And we got to pull up and talk to y'all
For
after the
sure,
event, because
for sure.
now I'm like, damn, we got to get in there.
Come to Atlanta. Come to Atlanta.
Hey.
I'm there all the time.
Oh,
so,
you do?
yeah, I'll be there.
Shout out Foundry Media. I appreciate you.
We got to do some in person with y'all just us.
For sure.
Yeah.
But one last thing before we get out of here to the creative entrepreneur listening, whether they are artists or a manager, besides keep going, what's like one piece of advice you would give them building their dreams?
Trying to build their own dreams.
Hey,
One piece of advice.
Yeah.
Because everybody says keep going, which is true, but everybody gets frustrated by that. What's something that you're like a little bit more specific?
Be teachable. Be willing to learn. Don't think you know it all. Like we did it before, right? We started and we exited, but it didn't make us experts. So we had to be willing to humble ourselves and just be teachable. And I think that's important for artists, entrepreneurs, and just human beings. Get yourself a mentor, find someone who's done it before. And if you can't find anyone, read a book,
Come on.
and
YouTube.
Audible, YouTube. But don't be afraid to reach out to people, and don't be afraid of the word no. That word no will make you a lot stronger. Be willing to get 100 no's to get that one right yes. And that's what we had to go through. Like so many no's. And I thank God for those no's. Because when we were at our lowest, I realized we were at our happiest because we were able to find that happy place. And that's how I knew we were doing the right thing. I was very, very happy. I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't content, but I was happy. And so because I was able to find my happy place and our lowest place, I knew that I was doing the right thing. I knew that we were going to be okay. And I knew we was going to blow this shit out the water. Sorry, I don't know if I'm cursed,
You
but
good, you good.
okay. I knew we was going to blow it out the water and we were going to be good. So, obviously keep going, but don't just keep going. Like learn in the process and enjoy. Sounds so cliche, but enjoy the moment and be able to reflect back on those hard times and find that rainbow. The rainbow in the storm is so important.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
just find it. So yeah,
Dope.
that's what
And
I'm
where
saying.
can people find y'all? What's the 24/7 page on social?
At 24/7 written out, artist with an S, everywhere. Yeah,
Oh,
24/7
Thank y'all so much
artist.
for sitting in this Texas heat. We appreciate y'all.
I'm sweating like a.
We thought it was gonna be a little cooler and cloudier, but
Nah, it's dope.
But now we appreciate y'all. We live from Podcast Health at South by. Tune in, comment, share, all that. Subscribe.